officially grilling season here in North Dakota. We know that some of you have probably been grilling all year round. We've got a couple pretty messy grills here though, so let's get these cleaned up and ready for some food to be thrown on. For starters, I'm gonna remove these stainless steel grates. We're just gonna set these aside to be cleaned in a little bit. To get these stainless steel grates ready to go, we're gonna prep it by dousing a little bit of baking soda across, and then in our spray bottle here, we've got some white vinegar that we'll end up spraying on there. This will help break down some of that grease and grime that we have on these grates. So let's get started on this process. All right, now that we got these pretty covered up with some baking soda, we'll take our white vinegar bottle, start spraying it down. You notice it should start to bubble. All right, now that we've got those sprayed, we're gonna let that do its work and break down that grease and grime. So let's jump back over to the grill. We'll do the same process using some baking soda and the white vinegar to get some of the dirt, grit, and grime off the exterior surface as well. Got our vinegar. Maybe add a little bit more baking soda where you need it. Get that nice and doused down. Now that we've let the baking soda and vinegar do a little bit of work, we'll take our standard scrub pad. We'll probably start with the soft side and start scrubbing off some of this grime. As you can see, this is pretty grimy and this is caked on here pretty good. So you might have to do a coat or two, or you could switch over to the more abrasive side of your sponge and keep working that grime away. You want to be careful that you don't scratch your nice stainless surface if you're using that abrasive side. So make sure you use caution or use a test area. We've got the awesome DeWalt power cleaner here, but if you can also just use your standard garden hose to do some spraying off as well to get rid of some of that grit and grime as well. So let's give this a whirl. All right, now that we've got most of the exterior of the grill cleaned, we're gonna bring the power sprayer over here and start working on these grates a little bit. So we put our initial coat of baking soda and white vinegar on here. We let it soak up. Then we sprayed it down to get all of that initial big debris off. What we're gonna do now is give it one more coat on both sides. Then we'll go in with the scrubber and get all of that grime off these grates. When it comes to cleaning the inside of your grill, this part you might not go all out. Keeping some of that grease and debris in your grill adds to that flavor, but we do want to get some of those big chunks out of there that might burn or cause smoke in there that you don't want. So we'll do a light touch up with the wire brush and a little baking soda and vinegar on the inside as well. One thing to keep in mind when using a wire brush is to make sure you're using them properly, and that way you don't lose any of your bristles, which can be dangerous. When cleaning the inside of your grill, these parts are going to be removable. As you can see, this one in particular is pretty bad. So we'll take this over to the area where we don't mind making a mess and fine touch on this one as well. Looking quite a bit better than when we started. Not perfect, but enough to not cause more smoke or anything burning inside of your grill. All right, I think this is good enough to put back in the grill. Since we are going through the process, we'll actually take all of these out and at least give them a quick spray down with the hose. One other thing to keep in mind is if you have a favorite spot on the grill and you have one of these grates that's seen a little bit more love than the rest, you can move them around a little bit to use a little less used one in your favorite grilling spot. As you can see, just from hauling these over to the yard here where we're able to spray them off, they are pretty dirty, so it is a good idea that we brought these out to spray them. So these are going to be your racks underneath your burners. A lot of your extra juices and any meat that falls through, these are going to see the brunt of that. As you can see, these are quite coated, so we pulled these out to give them a hose down as well. Just kind of starting by scraping off some of that initial debris. I'm just using the flat side of my other grates here. Seems to do the trick pretty well for us. As you can see, this will be a messy process as well. But once you're done, it's gonna have your food tasting great. As you can see, these are a lot better than when we started, but since we have them out, let's go the extra mile. Let's douse them down with some baking soda and a little white vinegar as well. Just get these a little extra clean. All right, for the last part, cleaning the inside of the grill, we're just gonna try to break down some of this debris and gunk that's fallen down between the grates. And once we get that broken down, we'll just kind of vacuum it out. There is, of course, the drain at the bottom there, but we'll see if we can avoid getting all of it to fall down there and get it into the shop vac. As you can see, just that quick scrape down that we did there makes quite the world of difference. However, if you really want to fine tune and get in there and clean it really well, you can remove these burners, and that'll help you be able to get into some of those crevices where you might not be able to reach quite as easily while they're in there. For this application, we just left them in there because it did a pretty good job overall. So after we clean the inside there, you can see that our drip pan is pretty gross. So let's get this thing emptied out as well. Now that we've got the initial coats kind of rinsed off and soaked down, we'll take our wire brush and our Brillo pad and kind of just work off some more of this debris. As you can see, none of these parts are going to be completely spotless, at least in our personal application here. We did get them pretty clean, and as you can see, if you spent a little bit more time, you could certainly get these things spotless, looking almost like brand new again. However, like we mentioned earlier, keeping a little bit of that grime on there adds to a little bit of flavor, and at least we got rid of those main chunks, so there's not going to be any burning, smoking, anything of that sort to affect the flavor of your food. All right, now that we got this mostly cleaned, we're gonna start putting it back together. As I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna switch up the orientation of these grates to get one of the less loved grates, some extra showtime, you could say. So this was our really rough one from earlier. Let's throw this one on the side over here that doesn't get used quite as often. And as you can see, again, we'll stress it multiple times. This grill is by no means spotless, but it is going to perform a lot better. The food's gonna taste better all around. And again, you could go all out and really start to scrub and clean that inside if you wanna go through the process of removing those burners. Now that we've got all the internal components cleaned, we did our hefty clean on the outside. We'll give it one more quick spray down, a wipe down, and then we'll fire it up and throw some hot dogs on. like a clean grill.
Nope.
Tastes like a clean grill.